Dillian Whyte talking crap again, because that's what he does. He calls Deontay Wilder a coward and a disgrace. But before I get into that, give it a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to the channel because that is what helps me out the most. With that being said, let's break this down. So Dillian Whyte is calling Deontay Wilder a coward and a disgrace for coming up with the excuses. And he also said that he believes that Deontay Wilder will never fight again. Now, I haven't really been speaking on the video that Deontay Wilder did personally, but I've been on other panels talking about it. So I guess this will be the first time I talk about it on my channel. I don't know what to think about it because he's making claims that are very dangerous, legally dangerous, like saying that Breland put muscle relaxers in his water, which is impossible because, see, here's the thing about it. There's 4 ways your body can metabolize any type of substance or chemical. So the first way is you can ingest it. The second way is you can get it by syringe, blood. So a blood infusion, injecting something into your bloodstream, basically. The third way is a gas. You could breathe it in. The fourth way is actually there is skin absorption where some chemicals can leach in through the skin. Deontay Wilder claimed that his water bottle was tainted by a muscle relaxer. See, that's where he messed up because now it's two-folded. Now it's going to not only show up in his blood toxicology report, but it'll show up in the urine toxicology report as well. So either way it goes, he's screwed. He can't be like, well, the reason why I didn't show up is because they gave me a urine test. You see what I'm saying? Because he ingested it, now it cycles through the body as waste. So again, it was a bold claim, and if he doesn't have any evidence of that, he could very well get sued for slander by Mark Breland, and then Mark Breland could go after him for damages because something like that could damage Breland's career if he wants to stay in boxing. If people actually believe that he poisoned one of his fighters, then nobody would fight with him. Nobody would use him as a coach. And I don't know if Breland's wanting to stay in boxing, stay in coaching, or what. But if he does plan to, that could ruin his career. That could be the nail in the coffin that ends it. So Breland, for his own sake, his own name, needs to clear that up and get it cleared up. Secondly, Wilder then goes on to talk about egg weights in the glove. And then in the first fight, they had to readjust the gloves, and new gloves don't bend like that. And they can't take skin out your ear, etc. Right? Well, here's the thing. And I'll get back to what Dillian Whyte was saying. Here's the thing about it. When you hit somebody in the head with a metal object, it doesn't form the shape of that metal object in their head. Your brain, excuse me, I don't know why I said brain. Your skull, your cranium is not made of Play-Doh. So when I put something in your cranium, it's not going to form to the shape of whatever I hit you with. That's not how pressure works across bone. No, it's going to spread out. So when I hit you, the shock of it is going to spread out. It tries to even itself out through. So if there is a break or a fracture in this case, if we're talking medically, whether it be a first or second degree fracture, I don't know. It obviously wasn't a third because there was no bones protruding from the skin. But if he had a second degree fracture, it's not going to form the shape of an egg weight. It is going to press out. So where there might be a major dent, but around that dent, there's still going to be decompression. There's going to be it's just going to go down like it would look more like a valley versus the actual shape of anything because everything around the damage is going to hit. The kinetic energy is going to spread out, and more than just that spot that was initially hit is going to be damaged. It is actually going to spread out. And normally you would have to take a serious injury for it to actually show like a dent in your head. Normally it's going to swell up from all the blood and fluid rushing there. Now, with that being said, let's get back into it. So we know Deontay Wilder did not fail at toxicology, or at least it was never released that he did. So therefore, we know for a fact he did not have any type of muscle relaxer in his system, because had he had a muscle relaxer, those have very long half-lives. That means that it would stay in the system for a very long time. We're talking about days on days on days, depending on what he took. So being that there's so many different types of muscle relaxers, I can't say it would last 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days. But what I can tell you is, without a doubt, any muscle relaxer out there, you're looking at a very minimum of 4 to 5 days. And that's if he had an extremely small dosage. And I don't even know. Because I would say my educated guess is you would be realistically looking at a minimum to 7 to 8 days because of the half-lives of these different types of drugs. So that rules that out right there. I understand what Dillian Whyte's saying. He's saying that when he got knocked out by Povetkin, he didn't make excuses. He said he wanted to run it back, and that's what he's doing. He went right back into training, even though Eddie Hearn advised him not to. And that's why we got the fight between him and Povetkin right around the corner. Right around the corner. It's about to happen. So I understand what he's saying. Now, as far as Deontay Wilder being a coward, I don't think he's a coward, because it seems like right now he's begging for the third fight because the contract really did expire. And if he's begging for the third fight, that means legally he really can't force Tyson Fury to fight him because of that. Now, I'm not a lawyer, again, like I said earlier in another video. I don't know what the legality is behind that. I don't know if they could get an extension because of Corona if it does go to court. I don't know. But it sounds like to me is legally they have no foot to stand on, or no leg to stand on, I should say. But I don't see, if you could beat somebody in court, or if you could force somebody to fight you, you wouldn't be begging for a fight. You wouldn't be guilt tripping them, talking about, well, I gave you the rematch even though I could have made more money with AJ, but I was a man of my word. You wouldn't say words like that if you had them. But he obviously doesn't have them by the tail, and Tyson Fury is free to do whatever he wants. Another thing, here's my thing about it. Deontay Wilder did say at the end of his speech, he was talking about a thief. If a thief should be caught, he will pay back 7 times the amount of what he took, even if he has to sell everything in his house. That right there stood out to me. His closing words really stood out to me, because it makes me wonder, does he actually have some type of evidence? I don't know. My mind says no, only because if he did have evidence, I don't feel like he would be searching for a third fight. If he did have evidence, I feel like that evidence would have dropped immediately, and Tyson Fury would be stripped of his title, kicked out of boxing, and facing severe legal charges, especially putting an egg weight, a metal object, in your hand, and then that's why he was slapping. If you think about the theory, it makes sense. There was times whenever Tyson Fury was slapping with his glove, and if he had an egg weight right there, that tells you why he was slapping, because he was binging him in the head with the egg weight. I don't believe it, but if he had proof of that, I would think Tyson Fury would have some type of criminal charge against him and be facing some type of jail time. Some type. I don't know if I would go as far as to say attempted murder. I don't know if it would go that far, but it would definitely be assault. And then it comes down to the question, well, being that a boxer's hands are considered a weapon, can be considered a weapon, do you now consider those hands a deadly weapon because they have a metal object inside of them? So that's where it would really come down to. I think you're more or less looking at an assault charge, and it's just going to be, is it an actual assault with a deadly weapon, or is it just an assault with a weapon? I don't know. But either way, you're looking at jail time. You're looking at some jail time. And I just feel like if Deontay Wilder really had that on Tyson Fury, it would be released. He would not. I'm going to tell y'all personally, if somebody put any type of metal object in their glove, I wouldn't fight him again. Because who's to say they don't slip through the crack and do it again and then kill me? You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid. Now, it ain't about being a man. Unless y'all going to sign up to do it bare knuckle, where there's no gloves, nowhere to hide anything, then nah, I would not risk that. And that dude would be going to jail, and I would be getting my title back. And it wouldn't even be a no contest. No, I would stress for it to be a disqualification because he used a weapon, and I would get my win. I would turn my loss into a win. And then if that be the case, he can make an argument that in the first fight, Tyson Fury had crazy stuff going on, even if he couldn't prove it, and he could get that draw changed to a no contest. So you're looking at, if he had all this evidence, which I don't know if he does or doesn't, because like I said, his last statement really stood out to me. So I'm waiting to see what happens. Then I feel like we would be looking at still an undefeated heavyweight fighter with one no contest, a loss reversed into a win, and he would have them titles getting ready to fight AJ or whomever he's going to fight in the meantime while AJ fights Pulev and Usyk. Or maybe Wilder would just go straight for Usyk to knock him off so he could just get, AJ the same time without having to have AJ fight Usyk, then fight Wilder. But that's how I look at it. I understand what Dillian Whyte's saying. I agree with all the excuses. I think it is just a bunch of excuses. I don't know. I'm curious to see if anything pans out, like I said. But I do think he's correct in excuses. I just, however, don't think he's correct in Wilder being a coward, because a coward's not going to beg for you to fight them again. A coward's not going to try to guilt trip you into another fight. That I could be wrong, and it could just be him blowing smoke and he really doesn't want the fight and he's only talking now because the fight has expired. But I'm going to give Wilder the benefit of the doubt in this case and just say that I don't think he's a coward because he's trying to guilt trip Fury into a fight. But again, I want to close it like this. And Dillian Whyte, I'm going to make a video about you very soon, about your Povetkin fight coming up. Here's what I'm going to say about this video that Deontay Wilder released. I am not going to say he does or does not have evidence, because I do not know. Personally, I don't think he has evidence based off of what I've seen and what I'm hearing, but I can't conclude that yet. That's why I want to let it play out. And if Tyson Fury, if he really has damning evidence against Tyson Fury, then it needs to come to light and Tyson Fury needs to be out of boxing. However, if he has no evidence, and this one reason why I say that I don't think he has evidence is because in his statement, he said, I suspect he had something like an egg weight in his hand. I suspect. See, you got to look at the words that people use, because when you suspect something, you're not liable. You're not saying he did have it. You're saying you think he had it. But that means suspecting something means you don't have proof. You think it's there, but you can't prove it to anybody. So you got to look at the words they choose to use. And based off of his words, I just don't feel like he has evidence. But again, I want to restate, I don't know. So that's all I really got to say on this. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. But if Wilder comes out with zero evidence, to me, it's a really bad look for him. And let me touch on this one part. Dillian Whyte says he believes that Deontay Wilder is about to retire. And I have to agree. I think if he can't get a fight with Tyson Fury next, I think he probably does retire. Or he just fights one more fight to cash out, honestly, because there's no point. There's no point in him boxing. And because the reason why I say there's no point is Wilder's already expressed that he doesn't want to be in boxing. He wants to do other things like acting, boxing's not his first love. So being that he's looking at 3 years, if he doesn't fight Fury next, before he'll ever get a title shot again, I highly doubt he would stay in boxing. Like I said, he's got a maximum of probably one fight, maybe two left, but that's it. He's done. I agree with Dillian Whyte. He's done. If he can't produce any evidence and he doesn't get his fight, he's done. So Wilder fans, go ahead and hit that thumbs down, because I'm letting y'all know now, your boy's not going to stay around until he's 38 years old to get another shot. It is what it is. Again, hit up the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Thank y'all for watching.